Hey, I'm Justin Blackridge, and this is a complete Lightroom beginner guide. Whether you shoot on a camera or even just your phone, by the end you'll know exactly how to import and lightly edit your photos. So step 1, importing the photos. Opening up your Lightroom app, you're going to be in this screen here. So making sure you're in Library, go down to the left-hand side, you'll see Import. You want to click on Import, and then that's going to give us the locations in which we can import our photos from. So I could go from the internal hard drive of my laptop or via an external drive. Finding the folder we want to import, so Justin Blackridge, that's going to be the folder we use today. It's going to give us the photos that we want to import. The good thing is I can actually select or deselect what I want to import. So if I just wanted to import one photo, then I can do one photo. Otherwise, if you want the whole lot, just make sure they're all selected. And then we're going to go down here and we're going to click import. However, so there is a second way that we can import our photos as well. So just minimize Lightroom, go and find the folder you want to import. We're going to click, drag that down and drop that onto Lightroom. And what that do, it's going to open up Lightroom and it's going to have those photos ready to select as well. So same way, I just find it a little bit easier than navigating this whole menu over here. Just kind of brings up what I need to bring. So here we have 3 photos. This is a recent trip to Chicago. We went to Chicago Zoo, and of course, you know, a classic train photo from Chicago. So if you've ever been to Chicago, you'll know what I'm talking about. Once you have those 3 photos selected, we're going to go and click on import. It's going to move these photos over into our library. And when you're ready to start editing, we're going to move over to our develop tab. So that's just up here on the right. Moving over into develop. That's going to give us all our editing tools over here. So now the fun part, the editing. So over here, we're going to have the basic panel. That's going to be the first panel we go to. It's going to give us all our sliders like exposure, highlights, shadows, vibrance, saturation. So with white balance, I mean, that's pretty much going to be the temperature of our photo. So you can click and drag down to cool the photo, or maybe you want to warm the photo up a little bit. By double clicking on any of these sliders, you also reset them to where they were. So let's warm our photo up a little bit. It's going to kind of just bring it up, add a bit of warmth. I'm just going to leave it like that. Exposure. So if you feel like your photo is a little underexposed or overexposed, using the exposure slider, it's just going to affect the whole image. So you can see here, if I move all the way to the left, the whole image becomes darker. If I move the slider to the right, it's going to brighten up the whole image as well. So sometimes you might want to add just a little bit of brightness and then you continue on. We have our contrast slider. So moving up the slider, we're going to add contrast. Moving down, we're going to remove the contrast. Something I always like to do is just kind of add a little bit of contrast. We're going to sit around 10 to 20. We don't want to do much more than that. You can see that that's added a little bit of contrast as well. So your highlights are going to focus on just your highlights. So if you look up at the sky here, you can see it's quite blown out. If I take down our highlights, you'll start to see a bit of detail return to the sky. Sometimes you can't recover all the detail in your highlights if they're blown out, so you do need to be careful with that. There's not too much you can do, but as you can see, just by bringing down the highlights, I've been able to retrieve some of the detail in the sky, so we have a bit of a blue back. With the shadow slider, if you pay attention under the train here, so we've kind of lost all our details to the shadows. If you want to increase just the shadows without affecting the highlights like you would with exposure, you can bring just the shadows up and it's going to kind of bring back a little bit of detail there. So now we can kind of see what's happening in the bridge here. And sometimes that's something you're going to want to do. With the white and black sliders, these set the purest points of light and dark. So not quite like your highlights and shadows, but it will seem to feel like they are doing a very similar thing. So if I slide all the way up on my whites, it does feel like the photo is getting brighter, but it's just changing it ever so slightly. Blacks you can lower, or maybe you want to bring up the blacks as well. And then saturation and vibrance, maybe you feel like the photo is a little dull, then that's where bringing up your saturation is going to increase those colors, just make them pop a little bit. So just like that, you can already see the difference. And then moving on from the basic tab, we're going to go down to our color mixer. The color mixer is our HSL slider. So you got hue, saturation, and luminance. Maybe you don't want to add saturation to the whole image, but you do just want to add it to maybe the red itself. Well, come on in, click on the red slider, bring up the red saturation. That way you can see just the reds have been affected here. Maybe I want to increase the blue in the sky and the sign. So I'm going to go down to the blue and increase just the blue. The luminance acts like the brightness of a particular color. So for example, if I grab the red slider, you'll see here if I drag it down, we're going to darken the reds. Whereas if I bring them to the right, it's going to brighten the reds. And then if you wanted to alter the way a color looks, that's where the hue comes in. So you can see here on the hue slider itself, if you grab the orange and move left or right, it will change the hue of that orange. Below color mixer, you have your color grading tab. So what this is going to affect is your shadows, your highlights, and your midtones. Maybe you just want to affect the shadows. So you can see here when we warmed up the photo as a whole, you want to go back in here and reduce our shadows to a more cool tone. So if you kind of bring it round to your blues, I'm going to then slide just a little bit in the shadows, going to bring down the blue. You can kind of see how much it goes. So you just want to do it ever so slightly without going too far, just like that. So now we've got a more cool tone in the shadows while leaving the highlights with a warm touch. And then the last couple of touches I will do is go into our detail tab. I will increase the sharpening just a little bit, just to kind of sharpen up that image. It always does help, it's worth doing. Not something that you want to crank all the way to 150, that's going to be too sharp. And if you obviously drop it down to the 0, it kind of makes the photo look a little bit blurry. But if we zoom in here, bring the sharpening up just a little bit, it's just kind of adding that little bit extra to the photo. And one last thing you can do to your photo before exporting is just maybe add a little bit of vignette to the photo. So if you have a subject in the middle of your photo that you want to draw more focus to, adding a little bit of vignette to the photo kind of acts like a border. Just kind of darkens the outside, bringing focus to the inside. If you go the opposite way, you will see it kind of turns more white rather than black. I don't know if you want it looking like a wedding photo from the 1980s, but I always like to go the opposite way, and we're going to add a little bit of vignette into it. So again, kind of -10, -20, no more than that, because it does look a bit too much, but just kind of helps bring some focus into the middle of that photo. Now, once you're happy with your photo, there is a way that you can check the before and after. So you have your option down here, and it's just going to show you the after and the before. It's just a good way to kind of make sure that you are happy with the edit that you've done. You haven't gone too much with something, or maybe too little. If you are, you can hit your reset button down here, and that's going to reset the whole image, and you can start again. Once you're happy with that final edit, we're going to head up and do our export. So we're going to click on File. We're going to go to Export, and then that's going to bring up our export panel. So that's going to have all our information and settings for our export. We won't deep dive into this just yet. A quick run through would be your location. So setting the location in which you want to export your photo to. I want mine just to go to my desktop. It's nice and easy. My custom name, I do want to be able to set a name for my photo. So I've got here, for example, beginner Lightroom tutorial. If you did want to export multiple photos at once, you can actually custom name and sequence. So it's going to start at number 1, and it's going to put a number 1, number 2, number 3 after the name of your photos, just so you have an idea of which photo is what. So we'll leave that as custom name. We have our file settings here. So I highly recommend going with JPEG. It's just going to be the easiest one to export to, the easiest file to deal with. With quality, I would just keep it anywhere between 80 to 100. So I have a lot of memory. I like to keep it at 100. Our color space, sRGB, that's going to be the best one to go with. And then we're going to go down to image sizing. So I select long edge, 2000 pixels of a resolution of 240 pixels per inch. That's just a great setting that I've found works over the years, and I don't often change this. Output sharpening, I do leave at screen. Resolution is high. You know, most of the time it just ends up on my phone, on my laptop, or uploaded to social media, so I will keep it like that. And then that's going to be it. I'm going to click export, and now that's going to start exporting it to my desktop. If we get out of here, you'll see up the top here, it has exported that to my desktop. So now I can move it to my hard drive, to my phone, send it in an email, whatever it may be. I can now move it from there. And that's it. That's your very first full Lightroom edit, from import to exporting and a basic light edit. If you've learned something today, please like the video and subscribe. There will be more tutorials to come in the future, and I look forward to seeing you.